What a freaking game. What a freaking game we just got exposed to on Thursday Night Football. Honestly, guys, like it's always one of those scenarios where on Thursday nights, there's usually an offensive player that dominated the game and you want to highlight him first out of the gate. I don't think I can start this one any differently than highlighting how good the freaking Texans defense. They are so dominant to the point where I said over the week that the Texans defense are a top 12 defense for me in fantasy this week. And it was met with some people who were reluctant, and that's natural because it is the Bills. But historically, the Texans have owned the Bills, and also this defense is lights out. It is one of the best defenses in all of football. And that translates, as we saw, to fantasy football defense success. So I think the only way I can realistically start this one out is by discussing how great of a play the Texans defense was for those who played them. Now, first of all, it actually wasn't even as good as it could have been. The Texans defense could have been a much better play had their I was going to say had their defense not gotten called for a blindside block, but I'm going to actually put it better since this is a defense type of night for me. I think it's a better way to say if the NFL didn't implement such a stupid rule such as the illegal blindside block, it would have been a touchdown. I hate the blindside block rule so freaking much. I hate it. So I loved watching this Texans defense tonight, man. And that's what I'm saying is that defensive performance could have actually been 10 times better than it was because they took a pick six back to the house and it got called back because of an illegal blindside block. That was wrong. But Josh Allen was under siege tonight. I mean, at one point, the broadcasters, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, were talking about how a lot of people in New York and in Buffalo, they were holding their breaths after Josh Allen got sacked by Will Anderson the first time. And that's not true. I was holding my breath too. Like, I was legitimately like, I hope Josh Allen gets up. Now, good thing for us, Josh Allen did get up, but he continued to go down multiple times. Not from injury, just because he was under siege all night. He was getting absolutely blasted behind the line of scrimmage, particularly towards the end of the game. And there was a ton of injuries tonight on both sides of the ball. But I got to tell you, man, that Texans defense, like, that is why I said heading into the week, there are three defenses I'm just going to trust moving forward. The Seahawks defense, the Broncos defense, and the Texans defense. That's why matchup didn't matter to me. If this was in Buffalo, I might have adjusted it differently, but they were in my top 7 this week from a defensive perspective because it was in Houston, and I knew that they were going to get after Josh Allen, and that's exactly what they did. What a defensive performance tonight. If you have the Texans defense, that's why I said, I think, Nathan, I think you're in here. Hopefully you didn't drop them because that's one of the worst things I think we could do is drop a defense like this because they've got a good playoff schedule moving forward. Everything is right with the Texans defense. And not to single you out, I just wanted to make sure like we didn't do something like that because, man, the Texans defense, they're something else. But let's start out with the Bills side of the ball right here. So Josh Allen, I actually feel vindicated in a different way tonight. Not because I thought Josh Allen was going to be this bad, but I also ranked Josh Allen pretty low this week. Like, according to what you would usually do with Josh Allen in rankings, I had him really low. Like, I had him as my quarterback 8 heading into the week. And I'm very glad that someone asked me in the live stream before the game, Josh Allen or, I don't remember the exact scenario. I think it may have been Stafford or something like that. And I said, yeah, Stafford. Like, I'm playing Stafford. I am not playing Josh Allen in every scenario this week. He is not a locked and loaded guy. Because last week I made that mistake with Lamar Jackson saying he was a must start just because of draft capital. And I was like, you know what? I'm not making that mistake again. I'm calling it how I see it from the rest of the year. That's just exactly the way I'm going to be doing things. And Josh Allen, I knew was going to struggle tonight, and he was bad. 2 interceptions, that costly one at the end of the game. And it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback if you didn't watch that game. Josh Allen had a wide open Dawson Knox in the flat to pick up the first down, and he didn't hit him. So, disappointing from that perspective, but at the same time, Josh Allen, he's still that dude. I mean, Josh Allen is still an incredible player. This is just an incredible defense that he had to take on the road on a short week. So there's a lot of things that were going to go wrong here. And Josh Allen just had a brutal night, a really, really brutal night. So if you played against Josh Allen, congratulations. You're coming out scot-free in this game. James Cook, solid day. James Cook probably not as utilized as I thought he should have been, but at the same time, he did turn in a good fantasy night. 17 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Like, that's really solid numbers there for James Cook. And I mean, by solid, I'm saying, yeah, for his standards, that's solid. That's not a 30-point game where I think we could have gotten it potentially. I think he should have been involved in the passing game a little bit more. Yeah, I think James Cook is a stud. I mean, to do this and have 6.8 rushing yards per carry against the Texans defense, that's impressive, man. I mean, there's nothing that could convince me that that is not a really good running back in Buffalo. I've got a lot of confidence in James Cook. It's never matchup related. It's always going to be what the team chooses to do with him. And tonight, they rushed him 17 times. I'm not going to give them crap for that, but I will say this. I think he could have gotten more. Maybe he was injured. I did see him. I thought I saw him go into the blue 10 at one point, but I could be wrong. And then Ty Johnson was the more productive in the passing game than James Cook. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Ty Johnson is a weapon in the passing game for them, but I do think that James Cook should have done more. Khalil Shakir, I am kind of taken aback by how well he did in fantasy. This guy tonight, I mean, he had a rough start. He was just for a while, he had 2 catches for 3 yards. Then he had the fumble on the 1 catch. And then the last couple of drives, they just started hitting him down the field. And they had oh my gosh, so well executed. On 4th and 25, right there at that last drive. I mean, to keep the drive alive, 4th and 25, they hit, I think it was Josh Palmer on a deep in-breaking route, 15 yards down the field. And then he perfectly timed the pitch to Khalil Shakir to come around the edge. And it was so well executed. The defense completely was out of sorts. I was so impressed. I mean, that play was so sweetly designed by the play caller, Joe Brady. Fantastic play call right there in that moment. And Khalil Shakir, again, solid fantasy night. It wasn't as good as it could have been because he lost the fumble, so that's -3 in a lot of leagues. So instead of, 19 points in a full PPR format, you're going to end up with 16 in a full PPR format. But still solid. I mean, if you played Khalil Shakir, you kind of got your money's worth because that's typically what his ceiling is around. So I think Khalil Shakir definitely restored a little bit of my faith in him because he was definitely a massive part of the game plan in this one. Like I said, Ty Johnson, he's going to be a threat. He would to me, is best served as if you play daily fantasy sports, DFS, and you do just weekend best ball tournaments or something like that, that's where Ty Johnson's best. But obviously, you're not really going to consider him for your flex spot or anything like that. Jackson Hawes, the tight end, actually had 2 catches, and he was more productive from a receiving yards perspective than Dawson Knox. For those of you who know and who have access to my premium rankings on FS Roundup, you can also access the rankings with the premium subscription. You know that I keep ranking Jackson Hawes in the tight end rankings because every week he's usually involved. Last week he wasn't, but I kind of continue to say, Jackson Hawes is not exactly that much lower than Dawson Knox. And while Kincaid is out, I don't think either are startable, but I do have Jackson Hawes ranked for that reason alone. Big play Gabe, man. He almost had a sweet goal line catch, man. It was sweet. He did catch it, but he just didn't keep his feet in bounds. Only 1 catch from him tonight. Very disappointing. Definitely not going to say that I have much faith in Gabe moving forward. He only had 2 targets in this game. So, Adrian, I think you're in here tonight. You are. Appreciate your super chat. I'll get to it here after the breakdown. But, man, I will tell you, Gabe Davis, I'm not sure about him being a massive breakout slash sleeper player. I don't really see that in Gabe's future. I mean, they keep bringing him up from the practice squad, then they bump him back down. So eventually when Keon comes back, he'll probably fall into the abyss. Josh Palmer, 2 catches on 4 targets, continues to not be fantasy relevant even when he's out there. Dawson Knox, like I said, 3 catches for 17 yards. I mean, really, you know what the deal is. Like, in Buffalo, we've got a cast of low-end flexes outside of Khalil Shakir and of, obviously, James Cook. Like, the receiving group is just less than ideal. Tyrell Shavers blanked tonight. He did nothing tonight, so I apologize for even telling one person they should have played Tyrell Shavers. But the reality is, man, like, all these receivers outside of Khalil Shakir, none of them will be consistently involved. And even Shakir last week wasn't. I think in the future, Shakir revived my hope tonight, and I bet he'll be more involved moving forward. And obviously the big two are Allen and Cook. This is not an indicative game on what the Bills are. Like, the Bills, they can play bad against anybody, but they can also beat anybody. They just happen to run into a buzzsaw defense tonight. And I'm serious. Like, I cannot give that defense enough praise tonight. They were outstanding in this game. So I have no concerns with Josh Allen in the future from a fantasy perspective. James Cook obviously was great tonight, but he can do that against anybody. And Josh Allen can do what he did last week, pretty much against anybody as well. Tough week. Going into Houston, that's a tough place to play. One of the toughest places to play in the NFL. On a short week, against that defense, that's not a good recipe for success. Now let's go to the Texans, man. Davis Mills. I mean, I actually had Davis Mills decently ranked in this game. Davis Mills was like middling quarterback in my rankings this week. Didn't make the top 16, but wasn't that far out of it. So I really, really think that Davis Mills did well. I mean, we're assuming that C.J. Stroud comes back. Davis Mills did well for what he was, the opportunities he was given. He went 2-1. Or actually, no, they went 3-0 with Davis Mills because they won against the Jags, they won against the Titans, and then they won tonight. So Davis Mills, hats off to him. I mean, he's able to feed the key targets for the most part. And yeah, I think Davis Mills did fine. The guy's a solid backup quarterback. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, I would say, is better. But you kind of look at C.J. Stroud's numbers this year and you be like, is he better? I think he's better. But C.J. hasn't had that great of a year, and I think Mills has actually done well for a lot of pass catchers. Listen, Woody Marks actually did well tonight. Better than I thought he would on the ground. And again, one thing is very, very clear at this point. He is the number one running back. Like, Woody Marks is 100% the Texans running back one. And that's just the way it is. He had 16 carries compared to Nick Chubb at 6 carries. So apparently his real name is Joquavius. I did not know that. So Joquavius Marks is really good. And not really good, but he's better than Chubb, and he's more involved than Chubb at this point. And that's kind of the reality of this, is that I do think he's got potential to be a decent running back too moving forward. I mean, I would continue to utilize him as a flex option, but if you've got injuries, man, he can absolutely step in as an RB2. And I do think that he should be kept. And if someone really wanted him and you could get him you could sell him high, that's also an option. I think I'd want to see what your situation is. So if you do want advice on what to do with Woody Marks, you could do a full team breakdown with me. There's a link in the chat and in the description to get one with me. But I do think Woody Marks is going to be a guy that you can kind of rely on as a solid RB2 moving forward. He's got a pretty safe floor. Chubb, 6 carries, again, it just is not enough. And then Nico Collins, interesting story tonight. He had really good plays in the first half. One play in particular where he was, it was towards the end of the half, and they were just getting the ball downfield to him. And he caught one over the middle of the field, got absolutely popped, bounced off the hit, and then got caught by the same guy who hit him. he actually did a really good defensive play, wrapped his leg, and then he went down. But if he hadn't have gone down, Nico was going to the house. So, like, Nico could have had a really good night. He stayed down after that hit, got checked. I think it was like ribs or like sternum type of injury, and really wasn't seen again. I mean, we saw him on the field, but he was kind of just more of a decoy more than anything. Like, Nico Collins was not involved in the second half much. I mean, actually at all. Like, he had 3 targets in the first half, 3 catches, and that was pretty much it. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe Nico did have a second half catch, but I don't think he did. Someone vet that for me if you could. But man, I mean, Nico Collins, he looked like he was poised for a really big game in that first half, and then it kind of just fell apart. And once that hit happened, he just was not used as their number one. Like, they had to really look a lot towards Jaden Higgins, who we'll get to here in a minute. Nico, just keep watch on that injury, I guess, because, you know, he's luckily getting a long week because they played on Thursday night. But, I mean, he should have had a much better night tonight. I really do think he was used as a decoy because he was injured. Christian Kirk actually had some life. And listen, this Texans room, man, like, they're similar to the Bills in a way, where we know we have a wide receiver one for sure. Nico Collins is obviously much better than Khalil Shakir, but we can pretty much count on Nico every single week to be their best option. And then after that, there's a bunch of guys who sometimes can do well. Christian Kirk's one of those guys. I mean, Christian Kirk is one of those guys I would never trust to put in my lineup or trust anyone to tell them to put them in their lineup over someone like Darnell Mooney moving forward or something like that. Like, Kirk is going to go through many more games where he blanks. So tonight he caught one in the end zone. Good for him. But for the most part, I don't view Christian Kirk as this, like, breakout player who could be a league winner. If anything, I'm giving that to Jaden Higgins. Because I'm telling you this, and I said this before the game tonight, Jaden Higgins, they really want him to be their wide receiver too. They really do. And it was never more clear for me than it was in that second half. You know, Jaden Higgins went through a lot of this game where I was thinking to myself, Jaden Higgins is going to turn out to be a really bad play, and it shouldn't be the case. Because he had a lot of catches that didn't count. Like, he had a lot of sideline catches. He had a goal line catch that was out of bounds. He finally got in the end zone tonight, but look at the key number here. He had 9 targets in this game. So, like, Jaden Higgins is pretty clearly their wide receiver too. And at this point, I kind of feel like we can trust it a little bit. So I would make sure Jaden Higgins is not on your waiver wire. And if he is, I would be scooping him up. Because, like, at this point, to me, it's pretty clear. This is their wide receiver too. It is. And so I really do think that it's worth keeping him if you have him. And I think it's worth stashing him if you don't have him and he's on your waiver wire. So, yeah, very interested to see the progression of Jaden Higgins. But to me, he's now the second receiver you definitely want in Houston. It's Jaden Higgins now. Dalton Schultz, massive disappointment tonight, man. I was very disappointed. 4 targets, 1 catch for 8 yards. He had a really, I don't remember if he dropped it or if it was tipped, but he had a throw in the end zone that he didn't come down with. I was really disappointed about that one. I thought he should have came down with it, but he did not. So that's a huge bummer. But, you know, he definitely was, he has been involved, and I'm not too depressed about his outlook moving forward. It all kind of just depends on what happens when CJ comes back. I'm really curious about that. What does everything else look like when CJ comes back? Because Mills, like I said, Mills did just fine for what he was being tasked to do. And for us, for fantasy, there was actually some good performances along the way with Davis Mills. So hats off to Davis Mills, man. And, yeah, what a game. I'm serious. That was a fun Thursday night game. I am so happy we got that game on Thursday night. We got an elite defense against a top-tier player in the NFL, Josh Allen, and they outmatched him. What a game. What a game. Appreciate y'all being in here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's answer those super chats really quick and then get out of here. Adrian, appreciate the super chat. I hope Walker does better, but Josh Allen, yeah, man, tough break, man. I like I said, I was not shy about my opinion of Allen this week, which was that I was open to the idea of benching him. And I told one person to bench him for sure. Whether they did that or not, I don't know. But Josh Allen, man, I ranked him as the 8th best quarterback this week, and that was even too high. So just goes to show that even the best, Superman himself, can be taken out. And his kryptonite really does appear to be the Houston Texans. Like, if you look up the Texans versus Josh Allen, they kind of own him. It's actually kind of crazy. So, massive win tonight for the Texans, and Josh Allen, man. Congratulations to those who played against Josh Allen. You got out scot-free, and I'm sorry for those who did play him. Now I'm really rooting for Kenneth Walker for you, man. Appreciate the super chat. And then Alexis Bolanos, and we'll get out of here. Good to see you in here tonight, man. Higgins wasn't bad. Is he worth keeping? I got CeeDee Lamb and Slayton in a 14-man league. 100% worth keeping. Like I just said, I just got done talking about it. Jaden Higgins is their wide receiver too. And it never was more clear than when Nico became a decoy in the second half tonight and Jaden Higgins took over as their wide receiver 1. With a little bit of targets sprinkled in there for everybody else. Jaden Higgins is their wide receiver 2. And at this point, he's become effective enough for them to rely on that consistently. Because if you've watched the Texans this year, they have tried all year to make him their wide receiver 2, but he just wasn't good enough for a while. Now he's becoming more consistent on a weekly basis and starting to show his athleticism. I believe moving forward that he is absolutely worth rostering and could really step in as a higher-end flex option if CJ comes back and he's well rested and this offensive line can keep him upright. I really do truly believe that. Appreciate the super chat, man. All right, we will get out of here on that. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all being here. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel on your way out. And on your way out, come do FS Roundup. Start a start-sit poll for free. Vote on them for free. Get access to my top 250 rankings, the automatic waiver tool, the comparison feature, and the league sync-up feature, all for $6 a month. And if you just want a full team breakdown from me, you can email us at fsroundup@gmail.com. And once your payment goes through, I'll break down your team in a live stream. Love doing the live stream. So, all right, guys. See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Great game tonight. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.